Subway everyday value means many mouth-watering piled high favorites are $5 footlongs, like the fresh toasted tempting meatball marinara. And made to your order BLT, the $5 footlong anthem rolls on only at Subway, where great everyday value lives. Subway, eat fresh. The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
All right, we're coming off an action-packed weekend. Had to have two guests in the BS Report today. I am still recovering from my giddiness from the Boston teams going 3-0 on Sunday night. Unbelievable. Holy mackerel. I think I honestly would have taken 2 for 3, and instead we nailed all 3, which was good. I'm going to have my buddy Joe House on first. He's turning 40. We're going to talk NBA. And then right around the 30-minute mark, my buddy JackO is going to come in. You know, we got to give him equal time. The Manny thing happened. He's got to gloat a little bit about it. But fortunately, he's so depressed about the Yankees that eventually the topic turns to that. So House first, then JackO on the BS Report. Calling them right now. Joe House, how you feeling?
I'm a man. I'm 40.
You got to get you the Mike Gundy Lacoste shirt.
Yeah, that's right.
Instead of the alligator, the Mike Gundy face.
Hey,
you're a man.
I listened to the Kevin Wildes podcast, and I'm a little heartbroken that I don't have a T-shirt, here waiting for me already. I'll wear it to work every day this week if he can get one down here to me.
You're going to come at me? Come at me. I'm 40.
I'm a man.
Did you have a party?
No.
You going to go out to dinner?
Yeah, we're
Tuesday?
doing a big blowout out-of-town thing at a fancy place outside of Washington.
Is it going to be covered like Obama's date with Michelle Obama was covered, or no?
I don't think so. I haven't reached that level. I have 500 fans in Facebook. I haven't reached that level of
After the dinner, you should hold hands and just walk down a street while hundreds of photographers take pictures of you.
I could take pictures of us doing that and post them on Twitter.
What's more amazing, that you made it to age 40, or that Glenn Big Baby Davis, the third-string power forward on the Boston Celtics heading into the season, made a must-win game-winning shot in Game 4 of the second round of the NBA playoffs?
It's close, but it's got to be Big Baby.
Yes.
That's amazing.
He could not hit that shot 5 months ago. I mean, he missed it every single time, to the point that I think I was on this podcast saying that if he shot it 10 more times, I was going to start harming myself.
You know what's crazy is he had this shot in college.
Yeah.
He was a really skilled offensive player in college. And this happens sometimes, especially with big guys who demonstrate, a decent grasp of the offensive game and then hit the pros and sit on the bench and kind of lose their touch. But he could shoot like this in college.
It does make you wonder. This is something I think about a lot. These guys that can't play off the bench but can only play when they get big minutes. I think Big Baby is in that category. Like, he's, like somebody like Leon Poe you can bring in. He's an energy guy. Like,
yep.
Paul Millsap's another example. Somebody that, or, Carl Landry. You can bring him in for 15 minutes. He's going to bang bodies. He's going to get some offensive rebounds or whatever. Somebody like Big Baby is actually might be a little bit better in long form, except for the fouls.
I wonder if the NBA should do a much more intensive psychological profiling, Wonderlic testing, because with so few guys, their demeanor, their temperament matters so much more to the contribution they're able to make.
Yeah.
I think that they ought to do a real sort of profile. I mean, that you should know that about Big Baby before you draft him.
Look at somebody like Eddie House. He has the ability to come off the bench ice cold and immediately make a three and be at DEFCON 5 or DEFCON 1, whatever the highest DEFCON is.
Right.
Whereas, I think somebody like J.J. Redick, I don't think he's a bench guy. I think he has trouble coming off the bench, but when they start, last night's a bad example because he was terrible, but
yeah.
I think he's better playing 30 minutes a game and kind of getting in the flow and working his sweat. I know, for me, when I used to play back in the day,
right.
I'm washed up, but, I always felt like it took me 45 minutes to warm up,
Yeah, but
Like we would always, we
So
were
with 3
always.
minutes left in the game, you were warm.
No, I'm saying let's say we're running for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
It was only about the hour mark that you really started to feel like, all right, I feel good.
Yeah, I think I was in the other camp. I
Which
came
camp?
out hot. Well, at least, you know what? I came out firing. I don't know if I was hot, but I definitely came out firing.
You would have been a better bench guy.
That's probably right.
Which is, I was thinking about you last night because Rashard Lewis has your jump shot.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have your 3-point jump shot because you didn't really have that kind of distance. But that little foul line jumper he has that he shoots off top of his head,
Yes.
that's your shot.
It's a flat line drive.
But I do think that certain guys just, for whatever reason, are just not bench players. And, you know, I think we've seen it with Marbury. He has just no idea what to do when he comes into a game.
I'd be interested in hearing what somebody like your boy Dork Elvis thinks about this and how they approach it.
He probably has 1,000 different statistical formulas trying to, you know, if so-and-so's good. Like, for instance, I always thought David Lee was a much better bench guy than a starter. Huh. But then when he got a bunch of minutes last year, he actually was a pretty good starter. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I thought he was somebody that would be 20 minutes optimal. Now, here's a great example. Chris Anderson. That's your perfect bench guy. He comes in, he runs around like a chicken with his head cut off.
He's on a whole nother sort of planet in terms of the speed and energy he brings.
But he wouldn't be able to do that for 40 minutes.
He would not be able to do that for 40 minutes.
No. And I wonder, like, Greg Oden, who was just so disappointing, and, you know, he couldn't stay in the court because of his fouls, but maybe he's somebody that just needs to play 35 minutes. Maybe you just got to say, we can't platoon this guy with Brisbilla.
Yeah, you know, as another timely example of the counter, Roger Mason is not a guy that you want coming up and starting for your team.
Right.
What he brings to the table, you want in a sort of discrete dose.
How much of the playoffs did you watch?
Good amount.
It's really, you know, we knew it was coming. We talked about it. We were emotionally prepared for it. And when somebody's season was basically swung by a horrible call, it turned out to be Dallas, who probably would have lost the series anyway. But the thing that bummed me out was it was actually the ref that made the terrible call was one of the guys that I always thought was kind of decent, Mark Wunderlich.
Yeah, I've gone a couple different ways on this one. I just don't, you know, you can't leave it to his discretion, to his judgment, to you know, handle that call for you. You can't,
because he was too
give
close.
him the option.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying. Well, here's the thing, and this has never been explained. Dallas should come out of that timeout and say, "Look, we're going to foul these guys. Just be prepared." You know, and usually teams do that. I don't know if they did it in that case, but when they showed that replay, one of them, he was looking at Carmelo's feet, it seemed like, and didn't really see all of the shove, which makes you wonder, like, they got 3 refs on the court.
Yeah.
The guy under the basket probably had a really good angle of it. He could have whistled it.
Well, the other thing is, you know, those refs, you know, and far be it for me to be defending the refs, but those refs have been pilloried over the years and the decades for deciding games.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't want to just leave it to him to know the game situation and know that Dallas has a foul to give. I think he's fairly responding to, look, it's inside 5 seconds. I'm not blowing the whistle unless he grabs him, and that's what he should have done, obviously.
Yeah, I had 2 issues with it. The first was that it really wasn't a hard enough foul.
That's right.
And it's a foul that we see get whistled all the time, but I've also seen it the other way where the guy didn't really even touch him yet and was going for a steal, and they just blew the whistle because they were so ready to blow the whistle.
Yeah.
So there's some sort of middle ground that we can never find. But the other part that sucked, and it just got so swept under the rug with the whole thing, that was an amazing shot.
Oh, it was an amazing shot.
An amazingly ballsy shot, clutch, and, you know, I think Carmelo, would we agree he's been slightly disappointing as a pro compared to what we were hoping?
I'm not ready to go there.
10% disappointing?
Okay, 10%. I'll go along with 10%. He still leads the league in clutch shots. Remember?
That's where I'm going.
Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, he's one of the few guys that I think he rises to the occasion.
Every single time.
The issue is when you're down 15 on the road and you need him to step up, sometimes he just checks out. That's his flaw.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is a maturity thing. How old is he now? He's 26.
He was on the Redeem team last year.
He was.
How come he wasn't affected by Kobe getting up at 6 every morning like LeBron was?
I don't know. And the thing is, he was the best player on the team that played in the Worlds 2 years ago. Remember that?
Yeah. He was their basically their crunch time guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So
he's kind of like perfect for where basketball is going, and I think what Orlando has done to get where they're getting, like playing Rashard Lewis at power forward, is something we just wouldn't have seen 6 years ago.
Sure.
And now it's like nobody knows what to do with it.
Yeah.
It's almost like they figured out like some sort of flaw in the system where, yeah, he's not a power forward, but unless you have a really good power forward who can also guard him, it's a huge advantage. The Celtics had Scalabrine and Big Baby Davis trying to guard him yesterday. He's going to win that, And granted, if they have Kevin Garnett, or if you have Tim Duncan or Chris Bosh, and they're guys who can jump out on them but also post them up, it's going to be a disaster. But how many teams have a guy like that?
Yeah, I mean, how about Houston? Holy cow. Who was Lamar Odom supposed to guard yesterday?
We talked about it by email. Like, I don't know why they didn't go small this whole series. This Lakers team, that's how you beat them.
Apparently.
They have bad guards. I'd say below average guards other than Kobe, right?
Yeah.
Is there anybody you'd even call decent?
You give Derek Fisher. I give Derek Fisher a nod of the tip of the cap to the fact that he's been through all these battles, so that counts for something.
Yeah, but isn't he in that like Big Shot Rob 2007 portion of his career?
No doubt, but still, I give him a little tip of the cap.
I like Vujicic, but I don't feel like he's gotten better in 4 years. He kind of is what he is.
Yeah, he is what he is. I couldn't put it any better.
And then I don't know what to make of Farmer. Guy doesn't play, and then he's great in Game 3. And then he stinks again.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's a classic young guy who needs some predictability in his situation, who, speaking of sort of psychological disposition, probably doesn't have the maturity or the demeanor to just sort of roll with the punches and be prepared on whatever scenario he's supposed to come in.
Yeah.
He's not ready for it.
You're right. He might be another example of the starter bench guy thing.
Yeah.
Because when he knew he was going to play on Friday night, he was great.
And he started, right?
But then Fisher comes back yesterday, and he doesn't know what kind of PT he's getting. And
that's been going on all year. I mean, there are some stories in the LA press and so forth about him sort of trying to figure out his role and talking to Phil Einstein and all the rest of it.
I remember B.J. Armstrong was a guy like that, going back a little. Like, just could never totally adjust to being a guy who came in cold and was supposed to make threes, and if he didn't, Michael Jordan just stared him down. And then finally, when he got the PT, he was able to emerge into what he became. But it just seems like, and I wrote about this a little bit, but I don't understand. If you're the inferior team, you have to take some chances and make the superior team kind of make them thing. And that's really the only thing Vinny Del Negro did right in the previous round. When he played John Salmons at power forward, that forced the Celtics to do things that they didn't want to do.
Yeah, took them out of their comfort zone. So that, in a way, Yal's foot, is this the fourth consecutive year, by the way?
Yeah, this is not good. This is not a good trend.
I'm sorry. I feel bad for Darryl and for Yao.
I feel bad for Darryl.
And all the rest of them.
The bottom line is these guys are too big to play 90 to 95 basketball games a year.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not his body. He wasn't created by God to run up and down this hardwood floor and stop and start and twist and turn. And
there isn't a long history of successful giants.
There really isn't. A reader sent me a theory about how I should, or an email about how I should do the Yowza theory. He called it. Hold on, let me.
The Yowza?
Well, he had all these good examples there. Hold on. I got to go on my...
I feel like you and I have chatted about this before and
we
tried
have.
to figure out which giant, and we're talking really about guys 7'3" or taller, had the longest career, wasn't it Mark Eaton?
He said, yeah, Mark Eaton and I guess Kareem are the only two.
Oh, Kareem was over 7'3"?
He said, what about... This is from Ryan Scott Anthony in Chicago. He said...
He has 3 first names.
Yeah, that's a nice one. He said... Ask your boy Dork Elvis if he can work on developing a statistic that truly analyzes the foolishness of building an NBA team around a genetic oddity with a history of lower body health problems. I am thinking it should be called something like the Dowsy. And then in parentheses, he has Doherty, Odin, Walton, Sampson, Yao, blunder ratio. If Kevin Pritchard had employed the Dowsy, he would have picked Kevin Durant and not an 84-year-old Greg Oden. Now, I'm upset that he didn't put George Mirasan in that list.
Yeah, Mirasan obviously belongs there.
Or Manute Bol.
Bol had a pretty long career. He didn't really break down.
He was only good for like 4 years. But the thing about Manute Bol is those 4 years were kind of supremely underrated.
His shot block per minute ratio.
He was unbelievable.
A little dorky.
I'm calling him up right now. Fortunately, on Basketball Reference, there's only one Bol.
I guess Deshaun Bradley had a pretty long career.
He was hurt within 3 years.
That's true.
Remember how much value he had, though? Yeah, Manute Bol, his first season when he played for your Washington Bullets.
Yep.
Les Boulets.
Yeah.
26 minutes a game, 80 games, 5 blocks a game.
Yeah.
He had 400 blocks.
That's a number.
In 89 for the Warriors, playing in the Don Nelson, 4.3 blocks a game. And then listen to this. In the playoffs, he played for the 89 Warriors in the playoffs, 8 playoff games, 148 minutes, 29 blocks.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. But, yeah, he played for 12 years, but he was only really a good player for a couple. Yeah, I don't think if it's me and I'm making a franchise pick, I don't know if I go for the 7'6" guy.
Right.
I want the Blake Griffin guy who's, even though he doesn't have a lot of emotion or whatever we might think is a little off with him, I know he's going to last.
It seems like the ceiling is about 7'1". Like, isn't that Dirk?
Yeah.
Dirk 7'1".
Well, it's interesting about Kareem because, Kareem was listed at 7'2", but everybody said he was 7'5".
Yeah.
But he did all that yoga stretching stuff. Maybe that's what you have to do if you're a big dude.
That's true. He was ahead of his time. Didn't he do ballet also?
I think he did. He did karate and he did all kinds of weird stuff. But these guys seem to peak when they're about 26, 27. But I don't know what you do if you're Houston. I have 4 straight years of this.
Yeah,
also, they're better defensively when he's not in there.
What are they going to do with T-Mac?
Well, I think he inherits from Rafe LaFrance. I think he inherits Tracy McGrady's expiring contract.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, he might have to have some sort of a debate with Larry Hughes to decide who gets it, and also Ben Wallace. Those will be the 3.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. The Lakers don't lose that series, right?
No, but at least it's interesting now. I mean, Houston, it's all gravy. They don't have any reason to do anything other than try and win with this small ball thing, and it'll be fun to watch. I think.
I think
either they make those threes and they win, or they miss and lose, and it's pretty much that simple to my way of thinking.
Tuesday night, I have a Bruins must-win Game 6 in Carolina. By the way, I've been watching all the Bruins games, except for the ones that they don't show because it's $79 to get the ones that aren't versus. I refuse to pay that.
Oh, yeah, you don't have versus?
I have versus.
Yeah.
I don't have the $79 playoff package.
Right, so if they're not showing, versus isn't showing your game, you have to go spend the money. Yeah.
Well, they're doing something smart, though. They start whatever the game that's not the versus game a half hour after the versus game, so you catch the third period.
Oh, that is
relatively smart.
I mean, right, taking a bad situation and making a little something out of it.
So I got Bruins Canes, and I have Celtics Magic Game 5. This would be at like 5 o'clock West Coast time.
Wow.
At 8 o'clock, Lakers Rockets, which I could attend if I want. But I'm not going to have fun getting ready to go because I'm going to have these 2 other games.
Yeah.
I skipped the Lakers game, right?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
See, the problem is, if they had switched this up, I would have been able to go and write a column about it. But I can't. It's 2 huge games.
You can't. No, it's out of the question.
They screwed this up so badly. What made them think that Cleveland and Atlanta was going to be a competitive series? They should have known Lakers Houston and Celtics Orlando were the 2 competitive series, and you put them on different days. It's really stupid.
It is stupid. But predictable.
So we think Houston goes 7?
I would like it to go 7. I hope it goes 7.
Is Denver good or is Dallas bad?
Dallas is snake bit. I don't even think Dallas is bad. I kind of like Dallas.
I do too. I think
they won that game. They did everything but win.
But you know that they didn't though.
Victory.
But they were up 4 with 32 seconds left and lost the game.
Well,
how did you lose the game?
Well, one contributing factor, and this is the limitation, the secret limitation that team has. 2 Dirk fallaways, 2 bad Dirk fallaways on the front of the rim. They have to score a basket inside of 30 seconds, 45 seconds. he touched the ball both times. He's their super-duper star, and both times he took highly contested, off the back foot, fall away, jump shots that hit the front of the rim.
You know what really hurts them? And it doesn't hurt them in the regular season because you can get by it, but in a series like this, the kid's inability now to get in the paint.
That's right.
I don't think you can compete for a title now unless you have at least one guy who can dribble into the paint and create a shot for somebody.
Isn't it Josh Howard?
Not really. He doesn't really do it either.
Yeah.
They're all guys who stand around watching the other guys, which I think is, is fine if you're shooting well and you're playing a team that is going to score 80 points, but against Denver, when you need like 105, 106 points to win.
They were right there. They had
were.
every reason. They just needed to make one of those two shots that Dirk took inside of 30 seconds, and he didn't make either.
I actually think Rick Carlisle should have resigned after Game 3. He was that bad.
I texted that to you.
I agreed with you.
Yeah, you did.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
To be down 4 and then to have like the 4-second shot differential up 2 and lose the game in regulation is a failure that you should have to pay immediate repercussions for.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
He should have been asked to tender his resignation on the spot.
That would have been cool.
He walked into the press conference and say, "I just tendered my resignation."
Yeah, it'd be like when John Dean resigned during Watergate. Like he's just like, I got to resign.
It would be like
job.
The guy from the White House who had to resign because he did a terrible job of notifying the state of New York or the state of New York that a plane was going to be flying at 1,500 feet.
And then everybody had 9/11 flashbacks. Yeah, that guy. You resign under that scenario.
That's right, and he did.
You blow a 4-point lead with 32 seconds left, and then when you have a 28-24 differential and you still lose, you should resign. I do think Mark Cuban is going to lose his mind this week. I
worried that he was going to announce the team was for sale this morning. I thought he was going to appear on something saying, "That's it, I'm done."
Well, the problem is these things seem to keep happening against Dallas.
That's exactly right.
the one team that has the owner that complains about officiating all the time.
I know.
And this is the team that gets screwed over and over again.
I mean, this one at least, there's a decent amount of blame that the team bears on it.
Yeah. This one was more coincidental, yeah.
Yeah, but it is very unfortunate that it keeps happening to him.
Do you think that Denver could beat the Lakers?
No. I'm excited to see them thug it up a little, though.
Yeah.
Like the first time that Kenny Martin put the shoulder into Vujacic, I'm kind of interested. Kind of excited.
Let's talk about the ways that they could beat them, though.
All right.
Kmart, I think, could psychologically destroy Odom.
That's true.
He could really punk it up with him.
He sure could.
Carmelo against Trevor Ariza. I know Trevor Ariza, he's a good defensive player, not great, but I think he can win that matchup pretty handily.
Yeah, I don't know about handily.
Well, if he could score 25 a game and Ariza scores 7, that's a pretty nice swing.
Yeah, but hasn't that been basically occurring, whoever Ariza's been matched up with?
Yeah. What about Gasol versus Nene, who's insane?
It's a good one. It's a good one. Nene's physical enough to give Gasol a little trouble, I think.
We saw it with the Celtics last year. Gasol doesn't like physical.
No,
he doesn't like getting bumped around.
That's
he gets mad and he starts yelling at the refs and he acts like a big wuss.
No, on the other hand, to his credit, Gasol this year, like that Christmas game, he took the game over in the last 4, 5, 6 minutes, and he played physical and scored. But playoff is different from the Christmas game.
Yes, I want to see him do it with Nene swearing at him in Brazilian under his breath and telling him that he's going to kill him after the game.
It's definitely fun to think about Chauncey too.
Chauncey, on the other hand, though, not the type of point guard that really kills this specific Lakers team.
Yeah, that's right.
You want the fast, speedy guy,
the one that can get to the rim.
And that's what, I really feel like the Rockets would have won this series if Aaron Brooks was like a year older.
Oh.
Because he's second-year point guard, and they're too unreliable. Like we saw Tony Parker in 2003. We saw it with Rondo last year. You can't ask your second-year point guard to show up every game. He's going to have bad games. So right now he's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
2 good games, 2 bad ones.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to go 2 of the next 3 for them to win this series, and I don't know. I don't trust him.
Yeah, well, sure, of course. He's not trustworthy yet.
Does Cleveland go 12?
He's very talented, though.
Cleveland go 12-0 heading into the finals.
Only if
12-0.
Only if Boston loses. Only if Cleveland faces Orlando in the next round. I think they go 12-0 if Orlando's their next opponent.
But if Boston is their next opponent, Boston wins Game 3 or Game 4?
They win one game. I think it'll be a 5-game series.
Well, I mean,
the pride of a champion, the heart of a champion.
My opinion on a Boston team should never be trusted, but just because I'm too close to it. But and I love the heart of the champion thing, but I don't see it.
Not even one.
LeBron's got a look in his eye that I haven't seen in about 17 years. I'll put it that way.
We said it before the series started. This is what we wanted to see out of him.
It's what we wanted to see from him.
God bless him. He's delivered. He's over-delivered.
He's hungry.
That's 45-point game. Holy moly. It was super engaging just sitting there watching him take over that game.
You're not turning the channel.
No,
you're not turning the channel up 20 because you like basketball and he's LeBron and he's doing his thing.
He is doing his thing.
Yeah. It was marvelous.
It was marvelous.
He was so good. And what I really loved is that I didn't even feel like he went to fifth gear. I thought he was at a strong fourth gear, going about 70 on some smaller highway, but didn't even bother to really open it up.
I agree. He was in control.
He's got a whole other gear we haven't even seen yet in the playoffs.
That's why the finals are going to be so good.
Oh. Kobe's the only guy who's going to drag that gear out of him.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe our test would too if our test does enough talking. But
the first game in L.A., that's going to be a great one.
I got to say, the real shame of this playoffs is that with a healthy Kevin Garnett, that Eastern Finals, if you had an 8-0 Cavs team with home court advantage, going against a Celtics team that was intact from last year, defending its title, that's one of the best conference finals ever. That's an awesome conference finals.
It does line itself up beautifully.
We really got robbed by this whole thing because now we're looking at, I'm asking you, can the Celtics win one game?
I know.
Instead, we could have had this historically good 7-game conference finals that would have been awesome, and LeBron would have shown us everything we wanted him to show.
Yeah. It's a little.
It's depressing.
It's a little dissatisfying in that way.
Yeah, and my dad's here, two of my uncles here for my daughter's birthday party last weekend, and all of us are just so proud of the Celtics team. They did everything I wanted them to do. They defended the title. They showed heart. They had a lot of chances to roll over, and they didn't. They have a good chance of getting out of this series, and I think if they get to the Eastern Finals, that's an achievement.
I agree with that.
It's a nice job by them.
It's a great job.
What more do you want from a team defending its title than what they've shown?
I mean, you think about the guys they're trotting out there. They earn my
unbelievable.
respect. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You have Scalabrine getting his 5th foul, and my dad and my uncles were all watching and go, oh, crap, what are we going to do? It's freaking Brian Scalabrine. We're worried that he has 5 fouls.
Yeah,
that's
right.
how bad this season is.
Yep.
We have him. We have Marbury with his tattoo in his head. We have Mikey Moore. Who, I got to say I was wrong on that one because he has no idea where to go or what to do at any point in time on defense.
He looks lost.
He's just lost. I don't understand why he doesn't get it. So many lousy guys were trotting out, and somehow 2-2 series.
Give it up.
Cleveland Lakers finals.
I like Cleveland.
In 5?
It's the coronation of LeBron. No, I at least 6.
I gotta say, most interesting head-to-head superstar matchup in a finals since 97.
97?
Yeah.
Whoa, that far back?
Yeah, I have to go that far back.
Huh. I'm trying to think if I have any basis for disagreeing with you.
Karl Malone Jordan was the last time. And we all kind of knew how that was going to play out, so really you'd have to go back to 93. But still, Malone was the reigning MVP going against Jordan.
That's right.
That was still,
the richness of Malone stealing that MVP award that year.
Yeah, and the media had done such a good job of saying Karl Malone, blah, blah, blah. And, So, it's nice to have this stuff decided organically.
Organically, that's
with
right.
a series.
So we're disappointed that it's not the full Boston complement, but on the other hand, we get LeBron at the height of his powers against Kobe.
Yeah, and I think this Lakers-Rockets series has been really good. Celtics Magic, last night's game was good. Other than that, not really a good second round.
Yeah, Orlando doesn't do it for me. I had high hopes for the Dallas-Denver, but,
Yeah. This goes back to the whole, why didn't you do what the inferior team should do? Why didn't they just play Dirk at center the whole series and go small?
I know. I mean, Dallas is a little snake bit and a little. They don't do anything to help themselves luck-wise. Hey, I got to go.
I know you have to go.
I have my first prostate exam, so I'm going to run off right now.
Did you get my Flomax that I sent?
No, but I'm hoping that with the Wilds T-shirt, there's a nice pack of Viagra in there.
All right, just remember, you're a man, you're 40, and if you want to come at you, come at you.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, every week during the baseball season, we call my buddy JackO, a diehard Yankee fan, to see what's up and to see how worried he is about the Yankees. You can only guess, since they're 15 and 16, that he is very high on the scale this week. Let's call him at work and see how he's feeling.
Complex Litigation, this is John.
Oh, Johnny.
That was an interesting one. It was a little, I don't know, not that lively. Not a lot of energy there.
I'm over it. Within 72 hours, I've convinced myself that Manny just started cheating this year and the 2004 title is intact.
That didn't take long.
Done a 180. Yeah, we have no evidence he cheated in 04.
No, none whatsoever, right.
No stink on the Red Sox as far as I could see.
No, sure. Passed all his tests, according to Boris. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Yeah, I wrote Thursday's column out of real profound sadness and shock, and now I'd like to distance myself from it.
There you go. Maybe you can just retract that.
Not a retraction, just, hey, I was upset.
Just distance. That's fine.
Yeah, that's
You're
why
like every other Red Sox fan that's like, well, now suddenly, I rember the glee and the exuberance when A-Rod's steroid use came out, and every Red Sox fanboy was like, oh, get the asterisk for when the Yankees come to Boston and get your A-Roid chants ready, and I'm sure there was a plethora of shirts outside of Fenway.
Yeah.
But now that their own hero, Manny Ramirez, has come out as a serial steroid abuser, obviously because of his use of hardcore fertility drugs as a masking agent or to produce testosterone in your body, which means he's not a babe in the woods when it comes to steroids. Now suddenly every Red Sox fanboy and pink hat wearer is like, well, they were all on steroids. Everybody was doing it. That's no big deal. Unbelievable. Makes me sick.
Well, I've switched my opinion on this. I looked at his career stats. I examined them thoroughly. And clearly he was on the decline in 2007.
Right.
A little bit of an off year. 2008, looking for an edge.
Right.
Started going to the juice, and that's why we got rid of him.
That's right. Ran that bad apple right out of the town.
We don't want cheaters on our team, Johnny.
No, none whatsoever.
That's for the Yankees.
That's right. Only the Yankees. That's right. That's right. Not Manny. Not when you're on the Red Sox. Nothing to see here.
The Manny thing, the distancing would go so well if David Ortiz had one freaking home run right now.
That's
just one. Could you hit one, David? A-Rod has more homers than you. He's been missing for 5 weeks.
And he's played 3 games. It's an interesting coincidence about Big Papi, isn't it? And I was actually watching some of the game last night at ESPN.
I know.
And it had the longest home run droughts of his career.
I know. They're coming up with new stats each inning to reemphasize the fact that he had no home runs.
It was interesting because his longest drought before this year was 125 at-bats in 2000 with the Twins, and then it was like 121 at-bats, I think, in 2001 with the Twins.
I saw it.
I'm scratching my chin right now like Columbo. Interesting. And then he went to the Red Sox and consistently hit 40 every year, including one year he hit 50. Interesting. And now this year, with more rigorous testing, does he have any extra base hits? I guess he has a couple doubles.
Couple doubles.
No homers. There's pitchers that have more home runs than him.
We all get old, Johnny.
I guess so. I guess he got old quick, didn't he?
I twittered last night that they had run out of graphics and we're about to go to the number of Doms that died in 2009 versus number of Big Papi homers. 2-0. Johnny Damon has 9 homers. Big Papi has nothing. My friend Hench pointed that out.
It's a good point. That's right. Johnny Damon's leading the Yanks single-handedly.
Yeah. I think Dan Shaughnessy, and I wouldn't put this past him, could write a whole column of all different graphics of guys who have more homers. I think Nick Green has more homers than David Ortiz.
The glaring signs about Big Papi.
Well, it's really sad.
I saw on a website the other day, I saw a baseball card of Big Papi from 1997 as a Minnesota Twin.
Oh, no.
And it looked like he weighed about 150 pounds. I'm just going to throw that out there. I mean, I never saw a picture from him back in the day like that. And it was, to say that the difference was glaring is an understatement, let me tell you.
Well, Johnny, if anybody knows the signs of steroids, it's you. Because that's really
the devoted Yankee fan, absolutely.
It's a devoted Yankee fan. Nobody's going to pick those signs out.
Absolutely, that's true. I mean, I can't throw stones here. I'm living in a glass house of my own, clearly, but at least we don't shy away from it. Jason Giambi apologized for some nebulous thing that everyone knew what it was. We still embrace Pettit on our team. And we embraced Alex Rodriguez. So I'm a phony, too. I freely admit it. But at least I admit it, unlike the Red Sox fan who gleefully did a dance about A-Rod and Giambi and all the others and now says, well, either it didn't happen until after he was gone or, they were all doing it. Who cares? What's the difference?
When I handed in my column, which, I don't know, turned out the way I wanted for the most part, but I did wish I had a couple more. I wrote it in like 92 minutes, but it was weird with some people were emailing me like, did you have that ready to go for, it's like, no, of course. Why would I don't even like writing my columns when they're due. I get stressed out. Like I'm going to write an entire column to hypothetically before anything happens.
Plus we've discussed in the past that we always thought that Manny wasn't really swift enough to keep up with the cycle of steroids or understand
I was devastated.
What's going on. I mean, of all the guys, you would think that he and Jeter would not be prime candidates for it.
Right.
And and he always wears the baggy uniforms and everything. But I have read things where he's a pretty big guy, Manny. Like he's bigger than you would expect him to be.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't really seem like the type to be diligently getting up early and lifting weights. Well, but maybe he was.
The point, I mean, the comments were really almost all favorable for the column. I did get the predictable wins from back home. Like,
sure.
You sold out.
Trade it.
Yeah. But, I mean, the column was more about this experience in 2004 that was untaintable.
Yeah.
And now it's like.
Tainted.
When I see the high.
In a word, tainted.
No, it's not, I wouldn't say it's tainted yet, but now I look back and it's like it just kind of hangs over your head,
Yeah.
It's
Right.
upsetting.
And the thing is, I mean, legitimately now you have questions about everybody in baseball. I mean, I think it's a case now where basically everyone is guilty until proven innocent. I realize that's not the American way, but I mean, is there anybody that there's been speculation about that it hasn't turned out to be true?
Well, that's true. It seems like once the ball gets rolling with either somebody gets caught with this or somebody failed a test or whatever, it's never a situation where it was like, it was a case of mistaken identity.
And the sad thing is it's scary to be living in a world where Jose Canseco is like the soothsayer and the voice of reason, I mean, that's really frightening. Everything he says, people were like, Canseco, you money-grabbing son of a gun. But now it turns out everybody he mentioned it's true. Nobody's ever sued him for libel or slander.
Yeah, Schilling. I thought Schilling had a really interesting blog post that he did on 38pitches.com. I like Schilling. Like Schilling, calls it, and he was writing basically about how the Manny thing, true or not or whatever, shouldn't taint anybody's feelings about 2004. But then snuck in the middle of this was like, I have never played on a team at any point in my career where at least one guy wasn't doing something he shouldn't have been doing.
Schilling said that?
Yeah, and it was like, wow, that he's played for 20 years, and he's never been on one team that he felt like everybody was clean.
Above board, right?
What kind of sport is this?
Yeah, well, he was busy pouring ketchup on his sock, too, to over-dramatize things.
Stop it. Now, that cannot be tainted. You cannot miraculously grow blood on your sock as a game is going on.
Yeah, whatever.
The camera's right on the whole time.
Don't
take that from me, Johnny.
I'm only kidding. Half.
I don't care. I was talking to my dad about which guy on the 2004 Red Sox would be the most devastating steroid revelation, and I decided Dave Roberts would be the worst one.
Right, the steal. That would be such vindication for me.
If he admitted he was on like some sort of horse tranquilizer to make him faster.
No wonder they couldn't throw him out. He had superhuman speed.
But the Red Sox fans we've come up with some good counter arguments over the past 72 hours.
Good.
Including this one is my favorite. Since everybody was cheating, why is it tainted? Because we beat, look at the other teams that won titles. Sheffield was on a couple of those teams. You go down the list, and Yankees had a bunch of guys, and the Tigers.
I don't think you can find a team, though, where the World Series MVP and was such a crucial cog in their winning the World Series, though. I mean, the Yankees had some bit players. Pettit used it allegedly later than the World Series years. But they did have guys like Chuck Knobloch, who they won a World Series despite the fact he couldn't throw the ball to first base, so I'm not sure he was a huge deal. And Jason Grimsley, who was a minor reliever on the team. It wasn't like the biggest cog in their offense was on the juice. But that's a complete rationalization. I understand. I mean, if you have a juicer on the team, it's a juicer regardless. But it's hard to find somebody that was more dominant than Manny in a World Series victory. He was the MVP in '04.
Which Yankee would you be the most devastated by, Jeter?
Oh God, yeah.
Who'd be second, Mo?
Yeah, that would bum me out too. Even though I threw him under the bus a couple weeks ago, that would still bum me out.
When you called him the most overrated closer in baseball history?
Yeah. I walked back from that. I think, didn't I? That was speaking in anger.
Not really.
No.
You didn't really. There's a lot of Yankee fans still waiting for an apology.
Well, apology is strong. I stand by my comments, but yeah, that was a little harsh. That would bum me. Like Paul O'Neill, I always loved Paul O'Neill, the Warrior. If all that kicking of hats and busting of water coolers was because of roid rage, I'd be a little bummed out about that too.
You know what has made me feel better as I go through the 7 stages?
Yes.
Excuse me. You know what I've done? I've moved on.
Yeah,
I've moved forward. I've done who did the whole thing about the past is the past?
Mark McGwire.
Yeah. I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm not here to think about the past.
Right.
Whatever. I mean, it was always fun when we were growing up. You'd be like, yeah, Carlton Fisk homer in Game 6, or Bob Welch struck out Reggie Jackson. You had all these moments, and I'm perfectly willing to just forget about everything that happened from Jack Morris's game that we watched in college, the complete game, 10-inning shutout. Right around the Sid Bream making it a home. That was like my last favorite untainted baseball memory.
92 Braves.
Yeah, I'm willing to throw out 93 to 2008, other than the fact that we won, and I really loved winning those titles and all that. But I'm just watching this year's game.
Plus, you wrote a book about it, didn't you?
Yeah, it's all in the past, Johnny.
All right, we're just moving on.
You know, I'm excited about Jason Bay.
98% of Red Sox fans right now in existence only became fans in 2004 anyway. So
yeah, that
really,
is true.
They have no sense of history anyway. So what's racing a little more history?
That is, there has been some bandwagoning. I'm not going to lie.
Just a little bit, yeah.
But I mean, I could still enjoy this year's season without ever thinking about the last 15 years and all that crap that happened.
Yeah,
because if you think about it too much, it just makes you not like baseball.
Makes your head hurt. I mean, I can't, to be honest, I enjoy thinking that the 2004 World Series was tainted because it helps me sleep at night when I start to think about the 3-0 sweep out, the 3-0 lead and the biggest choke of all time.
Right.
But as I've said before, I can't really get that all that exercised about steroids, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
I mean, I don't know. I can't get that. I'm not going to, be one of these guys, beat my chest and rip my shirt and be, so outraged with faux outrage. It's baseball. Guys are imperfect. People are imperfect, Stuff happens. I don't know how much of a difference it made. I really don't.
Yeah, for me, it's
Except
the only
for
thing
Big Papi, who can't hit a home run without it, obviously. But other players didn't make that big of a deal.
Yeah, for me, it's taking an untaintable sports experience and casting a small shadow over it, which sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's more than a small shadow.
But it hasn't affected how I've watched the 2009 Red Sox.
The interesting thing, too, and one final point on this, is it puts such a lie to the whole Mitchell report.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to delve into the world of conspiracy theories again. When they hire George Mitchell, who has some partial ownership stake or directorate in the Red Sox, they hire him to do the report. And somehow, miraculously, all he can find are people involved in steroids with a New York angle from 2 New York guys.
It's a great job by him.
Radomski and McNamee. And there's not even a whiff of anything about Boston. And then a couple of years later, it turns out their biggest star is suspended for 50 games when he comes up with a fertility drug that's only taken to start producing testosterone again. It seems a little curious to me. Just a little.
Yeah, it's a tough one. If you had to pick one Major League Baseball player to be found with a fertility drug, you would have picked Manny, though, right?
I would or would not have.
You would have.
Maybe because he took it by accident.
A female fertility drug. Yeah, it seems like it's a drug you would take not knowing what it was because you're dumb.
Right. But then you find out that it's used by, steroid guys to start producing testosterone again, and it makes more sense. Obviously, he wasn't taking it to have kids, since they give it to women and not men, I believe.
Yeah, because they use Cialis for that.
Well, yeah.
I would have thought Manny would have been more captivated by the Cialis ad with the couple in the adjoining bathtubs.
Yeah.
He'd be like, "Oh, I'll build a second bathtub. I'll have more sex."
That was the disappointing thing about my honeymoon. We went to Cozumel. Our room did not have outdoor adjoining bathtubs.
It's where you could have had the Like, I don't know, one of the busboys take a picture of you from behind.
Yeah, I mean, what is that commercial? Have you ever been any place where you've seen outdoor his and her adjoining bathtubs, and you just like sit there and stare off into the panoramic vista?
I've never even seen two bathtubs side by side.
I'll go this far. I've never seen one bathtub outside, let alone two.
It's a great point. Those are all good points.
Hopefully, maybe there'll be some travel agents out there that can send emails to you, and you can forward to me of locations of inns where I can go and sit in a bathtub outside. That'd be great.
Hey, I was thinking about something.
Yes.
Do you think as baseball fans we could all combine and we could just basically make the statement that we're done. We don't want to hear any more steroid talk. We don't care who did it. Every fan base has now been affected by this in some way. We're just going to all assume that, the guilty until proven innocent, whatever. We don't care.
Right.
Let's move on. It's 2009. This season's pretty good. Let's just focus on this season. If we all combined and we just all went that direction,
maybe.
Would that be more fun? I feel like it would be. I'm going to make a vow never to write another steroids column ever again. That was my last one last week. I'm done. I don't care.
You're not going to do it. I looked at my dad when the Big Papi revelations come out.
No.
More. Come on, one more for me.
I'm going to do 2035. I looked at my grandson.
Come on, one more. One more when the Big Papi stuff comes out, please. Come on.
Tell that story when we were in college.
When we were in college and you had a column in the what was it, the Crusader was the Holy Cross newspaper?
Yeah, I think it was about Daryl Stingley.
And I don't know I forget what it was.
It was about Daryl Stingley.
Was that the first one? It seemed like there was a couple, and you would always. I
might have went to the well too many times. I was a young writer.
You would always reference your dad, and you'd be like, we were at the Boston Garden, and Larry Bird grabbed his back, and I looked at my dad.
Yeah.
Knew or whatever. So, which was good. I mean, it's and you and your father are huge sports fans together, and you grew up with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I enjoyed making fun of you about the I looked at my dad column.
Yeah.
And some sporting event would happen, and you'd call him, and I'd be like, we're about a day away from the I looked at my dad column.
Yeah.
And now I was so excited about your Manny one because it was the first one where your son was involved.
I looked at my son.
You had the I looked at my dad paragraph followed by the I looked at my son.
Oh, don't think I didn't dust off the I looked at my dog column 2 weeks ago.
Good point. That's right. You took your dogs out for a walk after.
I got a lot of people in my life to look at.
That's good.
I haven't done an uncle. I haven't done a grandson. I have an aunt. I don't even know if I've done an I looked at my wife column.
Yeah, I looked at the sports gal, and she knew. So, yeah, that's good. I so enjoyed that. I'm like, this is a major turning point.
It's an evolution for me as a writer, yeah.
Really
over the course of 20 years, I've gone from looking at my dad to looking at my son.
And when I emailed you to that effect, you said just wait for 30 years or 20 years when I can do that. I looked at my grandson.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
My goal is to get to the great-grandson. I think I can get there. If I have one of my kids has a kid by the time I'm like, I don't know, 55, and then the next one by 80.
Oh, yeah.
I might be able to get there.
You can pull that out, right?
Yeah. I'll be one of those guys like they have on the newspapers, the 87-year-old guy who writes the once a week column. Like the guys we grew up with who were comparing I don't know, so and so to Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, I haven't seen a picture this good since Mordecai Three Finger Brown. Everyone's like, What? Who?
Last time I saw a lefty with a curve like that, it was the big cat, Warren Spahn.
That's right.
That wasn't his nickname. What was Warren Spahn's nickname?
Who
was the big cat? Early Win?
No, you're thinking of the Big Train, Walter Johnson.
Oh, the Big Train, Walter Johnson. I got a lot of nicknames confused there.
Yeah. The big cat was Andres Galarraga.
Yeah. So the Big Train was Walter Johnson. That was a nice nickname.
And then we enjoyed one time, you and I were together, we were watching SportsCenter, and they had an interview with Andres Galarraga, and he was talking about some friend of his, and the friend said, "Hey, Gato." And we were like, not only is he the big cat, but then in Spanish, he's El Gato. El Gato Grande. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I remember this used to be a passion of ours about nicknames and why they sucked as we got older. Like, for instance, I'm on this website now, and let's see if we can find a couple here. Like, for instance, Jim Bouton was the Bulldog. Why don't we have a Bulldog now?
Yeah, that would be good.
Eddie Plank was called Gettysburg Eddie.
Was he from Gettysburg?
Clint Courtney's nickname was Scrap Iron.
That's a good one. Somebody else, wasn't that, what's his name? Phil Garner? Wasn't he Scrap Iron?
Phil Scrap Iron Garner? Like when we were, I think that the fact that Don Mattingly was the hitman.
Or Donnie Baseball.
Well, but the hitman, you guys called him.
Yeah.
Donnie Baseball was kind of a nickname off the nickname, but that really added to his mystique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Lou Gehrig was the Iron Horse. Hank Greenberg was Hammer and Hank.
That's a good one. Jolt and Joe DiMaggio. Well, everyone really called him that. He was the Yankee Clipper, I guess.
On this website, it says Paul Molitor's nickname was the Igniter. Listen, I was there, and nobody ever called Paul Molitor the Igniter.
Well, we used to talk about this in the context of, I said one of the reasons I disliked the Red Sox is even when I was a kid, I thought it was kind of cheesy. Because there was kids in my class, grammar school, in the 80s, when painters' hats were all the rage for some reason.
Yeah.
Or like the late 70s, early 80s, and there would be kids, and they'd come to school, and they would have this painter's hat that said Red Sox on the front.
I still have some.
And then on the side, it would have everybody's nickname. So it would say, like, Boomer and the Rooster or whatever. And then for Jim Rice, it would just say Jim.
Yeah.
Jim Rice was like, don't even think about giving me a nickname.
You know what's funny, though? His nickname became his first and middle name, Jim Ed.
Right. He was kind of like the Psycho in Stripes. Like, my friends call me Psycho. That's what you're going to call me or whatever. So, yeah.
I think the 80s were the last time that we really made an effort to come up with nicknames. Because, like, Will Clark was Will the Thrill and Hitman and all that stuff. But now we've just kind of given up, which I think is a real shame.
Willie, they say, hey, kid. That was pretty good.
Yeah, well, the best.
Willie Mays.
Arguably, the best one ever was Ted Williams, for whatever reason, was called the Splendid Splinter.
Yeah, and also he was the Kid early on.
Or the Kid, but they used to call him Splinter or Splint, and that's just a nice nickname.
Yeah.
Now, when we were in college, we had, I think I've told this story, I don't remember, but we had a kid on our hall, who also lived with us, who was really probably the whitest guy who's ever been put on the planet.
Yeah.
He was in ROTC. He was like, he talked like, how are ya? And we just decided nobody was whiter, and I decided, I think it was me, right?
Oh, yeah.
I decided that he needed the blackest nickname possible.
Right.
And we just so we thought about it, and we decided to call him the Night Train.
Right, like Dick Night Train Lane.
After Dick Night Train Lane.
Right.
A safety for the Lions back in the day. And that actually became his nickname.
Right, the Night Train.
And he was like, how are you? It's a Night Train. And, and it was fantastic. And I feel like we're all failing.
Yeah, there's not as many nicknames now in baseball, certainly. I'm trying to think, like, if anybody on the Yankees has any.
Like, Jake, you know what's the sellout nickname? And this is how I know we're really failing, is that every team has somebody that we call the captain.
Yeah.
Like, even Veritek, and another double for the captain.
Yeah, it's like, ridiculous.
No, he's called Tech. We've called him Tech for years.
Well, the cop-out now is just the initials, KC,
or the
MJ.
nickname shorting, yeah.
You're not even trying, really.
Yeah. It would be cool if A-Rod was like Purplicious. Be a good nickname for him.
Well, John Sterling, the Yankees radio guy, he always has to be overly dramatic, although I enjoy him. And when Jeter hits a home run, he hit a home run a couple of weeks ago. I was listening to the game at work, and he says, he does this famous, that ball's high, this far, it is gone. And then he goes, El Capitan. He doesn't do the captain. He pulls out the Spanish, the El Capitan.
That is awful.
Oh, it's great.
Here's another good one. Ty Cobb, the Georgia Peach.
The Georgia Peach, that's right. It used to be that, like, you had whoever that guy was, Gettysburg Eddie or whatever. It used to be based on location and where you were from.
The Negro Leagues had some great ones, too, because, like, Cool Papa Bell was a better nickname than that one.
That's the best.
Yeah, we're failing. I think the guy who could change all this, who has maybe the worst name ever for somebody who's supposedly a dominating athlete, Steven Strasburg. I can't even say it. The college guy who's striking out.
He's 17, whatever.
Yeah, he's going to be the first number one pick to go directly into somebody's rotation as the number one or number two guy. Steven Strasburg. I don't want to tell my kid, hey, Steven Strasburg's coming to town tonight. Let's go see him.
Yeah.
He needs a better name. Like, even if we called him Boomer, even if we stole some old name, like Boomer's coming to town.
I'm trying to think of some play on his name or something, but like Strass or the Berg doesn't really work.
And you can't shorten his name to S-Strass or the Berg. Could you call him the Berg?
The Berg? I don't know.
Burger?
I don't know. That's not great.
The Hamburglar?
Well, where's he going to? He's going to get drafted by the Nationals.
Yeah.
That was the number one pick. So.
So maybe he needs like some sort of Washington nickname.
Yeah.
Like the Monument.
Like the President. Yeah, the Monument is pretty good.
The president?
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking Washington.
The chief?
The majority leader? Because he's a senator? I don't know. I'm reaching
Let's
now.
see. I'm on Wikipedia. Oh, man.
Where's he from? He's
They got to
from
work
Florida?
on his Wikipedia. He was born in San Diego. He went to San Diego State. Is there a San Diego? Maybe call him the zoo?
We could call him Whale's Vagina.
Yeah,
A little Anchorman reference.
Oh, how about Anchorman?
There you go, Anchorman, because he's from San Diego. And he'll be the anchor of that rotation.
Oh,
That's
we're
it.
done, Johnny. I knew we could hash this out. Jacqueline,
Stephen, the Anchorman Strasburg.
Jacqueline, get on here.
I'm here.
Are you sold on the Anchorman for Steven Strasburg?
I like it.
It's catchy, right?
It can be catchy.
Wait a
It's
minute,
better
who's
than
that?
Whale's Vagina.
That's not Joe Mead.
No, that's Jacqueline Purdy.
Oh, I didn't know we had a new producer.
Hey, JackO.
We
Hi
know.
there.
Joe Mead went under the knife.
Really? Well, it's about time. He was inspired by Caitlin on The Real World.
No, you'll like. No, it wasn't that kind of knife. He actually blew out his ACL playing soccer, as I know you'll be happy to hear.
no.
'Cause you always love when people blew out their ACLs playing soccer.
No, I don't
You always
love
thought they
anyone
should be
blowing out
blamed
their
because they played soccer.
well, it's interesting because he knew so many of those soccer players when we discussed the Women's Professional Soccer League.
Yes, but Jacqueline has been pinch hitting for him, and also is on Twitter. If people want to look her up,
Fantastic.
she's 97 Twitter followers.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Try to get that up to like 250, Jacqueline.
That would be nice. But remember, I do cover that women's soccer league, so that's
Right.
what I Twitter about. You will not
Right.
learn anything interesting about me. I
I
am not
think-
interesting.
I'd like to find out why you're so morally offended by anyone who would call you Jackie. I'd like to see Twitter about that. Be interesting. You're against the name Jackie.
But we discussed this.
I know,
already.
but maybe you could Twitter about it. Other people who have pulled off not being named Jackie.
I don't want to talk about it.
Wow.
She doesn't want to talk about it. This is fascinating to me. I think you had like some uncle who called you Jackie once, and you just took it personally.
It rhymes with my last name.
Jackie Purdy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound like you're right.
And I find it as a way to I feel diminished when people say it as Jackie. Especially because I don't introduce myself as that ever.
Well, for everyone out here, let's make a point. Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Jackie Purdy, though, you're right. That does sound kind of off. It sounds like you're, I don't even know. What does that sound like, JackO?
Jackie Purdy?
Jackie Purdy. It sounds like a news anchor in like Des Moines.
It sounds like it could be like a NASCAR driver.
Oh, it does. What do you think of that, Jacqueline?
I would be a terrible NASCAR driver. It sounds like somebody who needs a nickname made for them.
Yes.
All right. Well, listen. The important thing is that we've settled on a nickname for Steven Strasburg, the Anchorman. Do we call him the Anchorman or is it Anchorman?
I like the Anchorman.
The Anchorman. That's a nice one.
Even the Anchorman Strasburg. It's not bad.
Anchor of Washington's rotation.
Do we get a cut of any T-shirts or anything? Or probably not, huh? We have to copyright that, like what's his name, Riley.
Maybe we should copyright it before the end of this podcast.
Yeah, really.
No, I'm going to give that to the BS Report listeners.
All
Someone
right.
out there, some enterprising reader can get that going.
All
I
four
love
Washington
it, though.
Nationals fans can get on that.
Quick turn to the Yanks for a second. So,
Ooh.
well, I put the kibosh on Phil Hughes. I'd like to
did you
both
ever?
congratulate myself for that and curse myself for that since he's destroyed my fantasy season.
You bastard. You definitely did. That game against the Red Sox, I mean, what did he give up? 6 runs? And then Saturday night he gave up 7 in the second inning against the Orioles.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we didn't trade him for Johan Santana because he's really the second coming of Cy Young, and I hate to see him do it for some other team.
I will say one thing. I saw the end of the Baltimore game when he got taken out. Two things made me nervous as a Hughes fantasy owner, but also delighted as a Red Sox fan. Joe Girardi came out, he took the ball and gave him the pat, like,
Hang in there.
well, kind of like after a kid has just failed out of college or left after freshman year of college and the dad drives him home.
Yeah.
And then he gives him the goodnight son and he gives him the pat on the back, but at the same time he's thinking, oh my God, this guy's just a complete loser. What do I do?
Yeah.
It was one of those.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, they showed Hughes walking off.
The Phil Hughes face?
The Phil Hughes face was born, and it was. I really thought he was going to start crying.
Yeah,
I mean, it looked
no.
like he was fighting off tears.
I've seen it before. Believe me, that was not the first time. I actually didn't see Saturday night's game because I was out, but I was following it on my BlackBerry, much to my chagrin. But I've seen the Phil Hughes face before. I've seen it enough.
He was shell shocked.
I would have liked to seen it in a Minnesota Twins uniform, quite frankly, while Johan Santana pitched another 3-hitter. But Sadly, that was not to be, was it?
So how are you feeling this week?
Oh, horrific. I mean, just awful. The team is just so bad. I mean, they just find new ways to lose, and then injuries mount. I mean, I love Jorge Posada. Those are words I never thought I'd say, but signing a 40-year-old, 38-year-old catcher to a 4-year deal in hindsight might not have been the best plan, since he seems to pull a hamstring or damage something with frightening regularity now. And now we're in the Francisco Cervelli era. I mean, it's just god-awful. A-Rod came back and hits a 3-run homer on Friday night, and I was actually like, I'm such a phony. And as Theocracy said, my love for A-Rod flickers like a candle in the wind. I was so fired up, and I'm like, this could be the Yanks start of something. And now he's like 2 for 11 since then, and Phil Hughes stinks. Jabba pitched all right yesterday, but for some reason he can't pitch in the first inning anymore, so they always have to climb back. I don't know. Johnny Damon's your best player. It's not a good sign.
We're taping this on a Monday, and the Yanks are 15-16, directly in the middle of the American League, squashed between Seattle at 16-16 and Minnesota at 15-17.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, especially when their payroll is $200 million.
Yeah. And you have it. Teixeira, any thoughts?
Jesus. I mean, we can't blame it on he's a slow starter, because we're not in May. We're not in April anymore. It's May 11th.
Yeah.
I mean, he's batting 198. Yeah. And I was hoping that when A-Rod got back, now they have to pitch to Teixeira because they don't want to face A-Rod. But so far that hasn't been a problem. In 3 games, obviously a small sample, but not a problem so far to pitch to both of them. One or both.
CeCe looked okay, though.
Who?
CeCe?
Yeah, he pitched well. It's Baltimore, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. But he did pitch well.
I got to say, something weird is going on with this Toronto Blue Jays team.
It could be this year's Rays.
Well, it's they're now at the point where they could ask the clubhouse attendant to start Sunday's game, and he'd throw 7 innings, one run, 7 hits. We have 2 of their guys on our fantasy team. One of whom is Scott Richmond, who is this year's Andres Galarraga, just out of nowhere. And then the other guy is this guy, Brett Cecil, who was one of our minor league prospects. They brought up, this guy had like an 80 ERA in Las Vegas. There was an article about he couldn't find his arm slot. And then they just bring him up because they're that desperate to find a starter, and he's been lights out. And it's like, at some point you just have to say, all right, something weird is going on here, and their bats aren't even that hot.
I mean, the team on paper is not that good. It's just
no.
Not, but they're 22-12, so
we've seen it happen too many times. They got plus 50 run differential already.
Jeez.
They're 22-12. They have a 2-game lead in the Red Sox. They're only 4 ahead of the Yanks in the loss column.
Yeah, whatever.
But
the Yanks have to go against Halladay tomorrow night, who owns them. So, and they're inept anyway offensively. So,
well, your real problem though is that the Hughes coming out of the gate like he did. All that did was put more miles on your bullpen, and your bullpen's not good to begin with. I don't know how you solved that one.
They brought Brett Tomko up, and he gave up a couple hits the other night, but he was supposed to be like the answer because he actually has major league experience and could settle down the bullpen. But the other night that didn't seem to work too well. Granted, it was one outing, but still, it was not what they were hoping for. Brian Rooney should be back soon, I guess, but.
That's one of my favorite phrases in baseball when they talk about a guy that his big strength is that he has major league experience.
Right.
The Red Sox have gone down that road a couple of times with like Paul Bird or Jeff Suppan, and it's always like, he's experienced. And then you look at his stats, he's like, yeah, he's experienced in sucking.
Right.
He's got a lot of experience in that being good.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience in being mediocre. But the good news is, the great news really is that Ching-Ming Wang is due back any day now because he's feeling fine down in AAA. So that's great news because his 34.5 ERA could really help us out now.
Imagine like if Hollywood worked like that, like they couldn't find the lead to replace William Peterson for CSI, yeah. And then Fishburne fell through at the last minute, and they were like, so what do we get? Well, what about Joe Pantoliano? Joe Pantoliano, we can't build a show around him. He's got experience. He's an experienced actor.
How about Carrot Top? He's got a lot of entertainment experience. This guy's been around the block.
Gallagher's got a lot of experience. Hey, did you see the President's Dinner?
I didn't watch it, but I saw highlights of it.
You saw the highlights? I don't mean to repeat myself from a Twitter post, but man, I mean, Obama was really selling some bad jokes.
Yeah.
It was really one of the most impressive things I've seen from him so far.
he was able to, well, I mean, he's talking to the press, so, you know, it's his audience. Yeah. It's a favorable crowd to say the least, but
he had he's kind of leaned back, had the big happy smile on his face.
Right. Of course, in front of the press, he could say whatever he wanted, and they're going to laugh at it and think it's wonderful. So,
Oh, Johnny.
Just so bitter.
Johnny, stop lashing out.
I'm just bitter. I got nothing going for me. Politics, the Yankees. Just give me the tainted World Series trophy of 2004. That's all I have. Just let me have that, please.
2009, the year that Johnny just seeks solace in the misery of others.
That's all
so
I
they
have.
can match his own misery.
My nickname is Schadenfreude now, That's all I have. Just give it to me.
All right, so how worried are you this week?
9.5.
Wow.
I'll have a half. What the heck? Who knows? This is it's all just a crapshoot anyway, so I'll go 9.5.
I'll flip the question around. How much have you enjoyed the Yankee season through 5 weeks?
Negative 20. I haven't enjoyed it at all.
Do you like the team?
No, not at all. I'm such a phony though, because like after they lost to the Red Sox on Tuesday night, I was so disgusted, and my wife literally was gonna like call the authorities and have like a net put on me in a straitjacket because I was having like a grade A conniption fit. I was just so bummed out and just like angry and sad and just a combination of emotions. I literally was like when Bruce Banner turned into the Incredible Hulk. That's what I felt like you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I was just so awful. And so I sold out, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't even watch this team anymore. But I'm like, Simmons is going to call me for the podcast, so I would torture myself, and I'm like, I have to have something to talk about. So I'd watch portions of it, and I was just like, I hate this team, and they're dead to me. And then I watched some of the game Friday night, which they won, and then the next day, my wife and I were on the couch reading the paper and watching TV, and I put on ESPN, and they showed A-Rod's home run, and I'm like, don't throw it there, baby. She looked at me like, you phony, Even she knew, like, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You're like the biggest phony, and it's true. Those emails from Yankee fans were right. I'm a bad fan, but I'm passionate.
I think we're all bad fans. I was so against the Manny Jason Bay trade, and now when he comes up and like, Jason Bay, come on, J Bay, here we go, baby.
Exactly.
I love Jason Bay.
Right.
I love Canada. I love Jason Bay. I love the Manny trade. We got rid of that cheater. We got a Canadian who plays it the right way.
Yeah, right.
I mean, nobody hated that trade more than I do, but as far as I'm concerned, everything I said about it didn't happen.
Right. Jason Bay is just phenomenal. And you guys win without Euclid. You win without Pedroia. Your starting pitching has been questionable, and you still win. So.
You know the other thing about Jason Bay, as Peter Gammons pointed out recently? It's a phenomenal human being.
That's good. Good to know. Humanitarian. It's good.
He's a great person.
It's good. Good news.
A lot of great people in that Red Sox clubhouse. Manny didn't belong. I've turned on Manny. It happened.
Good group of guys, I'll tell you.
I'm out. Manny, we had a nice run. You're out.
There you go. You're off the island.
All right, Johnny.
All right,
Always
buddy.
a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Good times. Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.
You laughed, you cried, you turned up the sound repeatedly, and now it's all over. This concludes another installment of the BS Report. And with all the talk about sports, Bill Simmons neglected to mention this important just breaking news.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin.
The $5 footlong anthem rolls on with Subway everyday value. So many of your Subway favorites are $5 footlongs, like that taste-tacular spicy Italian $5 footlong and the piled ridiculously high BLT $5 footlong, both made to your order on the freshly baked bread of your choice.